The last piece of the Butler training that I want to cover is the appeal raise the paddle component. This has several different options, and I want to cover them clearly enough so that they make sense when you're at your event, you know which one to use. So I'm going to jump over quickly to my items, manage items, and I want to take a look at the item that we're showing at here in the donation to ASWS. If I go to item 100 and I choose to edit, I can see here that the item is a donation type. That's the first important piece that you need to make sure is set. The second is the preset denominations. This is usually coordinated with the auctioneer or the MC. They plan to start at 5,000 and work their way down to getting towards that goal. So you can go ahead and add those in. Then there's the projected display. If you plan to put this up on the big screen so that people can see the totals coming in real time, you can go ahead and change your settings here. For instance, I have an animation theme. I don't want to use the animation, the thermometer and gauge. I personally don't recommend an animation theme because if you undersell or oversell this item, that can be a little bit of a hindrance. I have a background image that I uploaded that I'd like to use, so I'm going to use my custom image. Let's say I am going to show a goal. Again, I don't necessarily recommend this because, again, if you get above or below by a significant amount, this can be detrimental. But let's just say we're going to go 25,000 is our goal. And do I want to show donor names? Yes or no? For this purpose, yes. You can go either way on this. I've seen it done both very well. I'm going to not show my sponsors at this point, and I'm going to not choose to use text-to-give donations. And that's it. I'm going to leave those settings as is, and I'm going to go to Event Central, Appeal Display. It's got the little rocket. That means we're going to launch a new tab here in just a second. So first I want to choose my appeal item. I have the rapid fire keypad, which we'll discuss in a little bit, but then I have the donation to ASWS, the item that we just played with. So I'm going to choose that one. It's going to pre-populate based on the settings I chose, and I'm going to launch appeal. Now this would be something you would do on the laptop that's going to project on the big screen. So I'm going to press launch. Now this would be projected up on the big screen. I actually already have $123 from Matthew Burnell, and my mission goal is 25,000. So I wanted to put that up on screen first, and now I want to jump back over to Butler screen. Notice here I have the appeal raise the paddle. I want to go ahead and add donations for bidders. Now let's say I'm not using people's phones to give during the appeal. I'm having them do an actual paddle raise. The auctioneer is going to call off and say, thank you number 200, thank you number 372, thank you number 421. You would press this button right here, donation to ASWS. This is going to add the donations in real time as the auctioneer calls them off. So I'm also going to break this screen off, and so we can see behind the Butler, and we can see, notice you can see here that my appeal display is in the background. So let's imagine that I'm a volunteer and I'm seated in the back of the room, or I'm by a speaker, or I have a headset to the auctioneer, and I can hear them very clearly. So this is my phone that I'm using, and this projected display is up on two big screens. So the auctioneer is going to start, I need 5 people to give $5,000. So a person puts their hand up, thank you number 200. So I'm going to press 200, and it's going to drop a $5,000 donation just like that. Notice it also puts the person's name up. And then we say, okay, now we're going to go to $2,500. I'm going to put my cursor in here, and as they're calling off the numbers, I can go ahead and type those numbers in. Now I only have 2 bidders in my account, my demo account, so that's why I'm continuously using my name. But notice I put another 2,500 up on the board. We added 2,500 to this total. We put their name on the screen, and we're cruising along. I would say the majority of the time, auctioneers know that somebody either has to write the bidder number down or they have to type it into a screen, so they're going to move slow enough that you can keep up. You might want to have that conversation beforehand to say, listen, I'm going to be typing these paddle numbers or bidder numbers into this screen, so you're going to need to go a little bit slower, especially when you get down here to maybe the $100 amounts. Thank you number 101. Thank you number 253. Thank you number 614. Thank you number 721. Really, the way we have this working, if you're using a keypad, you can type 200 space, 200 space, 200 space, 200 space. When you press that space bar, it's automatically adding that donation. You can see here it keeps adding it, and if you needed to, you could press the X and get rid of it. Of course, that'll drop your number down, and it won't remove the names because we're putting those up so quickly. But it's also, you can see here, important to make sure that you have your denominations entered into the auction item before the appeal, because it's much easier to work with the auctioneer on the $1,000 donations than the 500s, the 250s, and so on, than it is to try and do a custom amount. Let's say somebody wants to give $10,000. So we didn't have that one predefined, but it came in last minute. I can go ahead and add that right away, but I wouldn't want to do that for 50 people. Notice here our number jumps up, the name comes up on the screen, and so on. Now, let's say that, okay, this is too overwhelming. All I want is a dollar amount on the screen, so that as the auctioneer's calling out these numbers, I can just say that we added $500, we added another 500, we added another 500, and another 500. I'm going to let somebody else write the bidder numbers down, and we're going to cross-reference those later, and we'll deal with it later. Let's go back to the main menu, and let's close this window here, and let's come back to our appeal display. What I'm going to do is, instead of choosing an actual item number to assign all my donations to, I'm just going to set up a rapid fire keypad. And what that means is I choose rapid fire. I don't want a theme. I don't want a background. Well, I'll keep the background element. Do I want to show my goal? Yes. I can't show my donor names because we're just putting a number on the screen. And there we go. So I'm going to hit launch appeal. And now I have a current total of 45,000 or 48,500, and it's like, where did that number come from? Let's pop over to Butler and come down here to raise the paddle and press rapid fire keypad for donation item 100. What that does is it loads just a single rapid fire keypad. I'm going to move this over. And it gives me the denominations that we've already predefined in the item, 5,000, 2,500. This helps us keep things consistent, so when the auctioneer calls off all the thousands, I just have a button to press. Looks like I was doing some testing, so I'm just going to reset the appeal total. You'll see that my total is 48,500 here as well. And let's reset that, and it'll reset this as well. Now remember, this is my phone that I have in the back of the room by a speaker, and this is the screen that's up on a huge projector in the front of the room. So I'm controlling that projector with my keypad. So let's say the MC or the auctioneer is calling off paddle numbers. Thank you number 715. Thank you number 243. Thank you number 123. Thank you number 220. Thank you number 400, and so on. And all I'm doing is just pressing the number that they're calling out. These are all $500 donations. And then the auctioneer says, perfect, let's move on to 250. If you didn't raise your hand for 500, that's fine. Let's get some 250s in there. Thank you, number 300. Thank you, number 421. Thank you, number 105. Thank you, number 721. Thank you, number 832. And you're just hitting this button every time the MC or the auctioneer calls off another bidder number. Somebody else is doing the job of logging all this and doing the spotting and making sure that they write the paddle numbers down so we can get them later. But if we're just concerned with putting a number on the screen, you don't have to worry about what that paddle number was. We just need to know that the auctioneer called another one, and then they called another one, and then they called another one. And we're basically just feeding this display new increments. And this is great. I mean, I've seen this done many times, and it really lights up a room. Especially, let's say we get a handful of these and we're getting close to that 25,000. You can see, okay, guys, listen, we just need about $1,200 and we are going to be right at 25,000. Oh, that's awesome. $500. And then the room starts to go crazy as you get, and boom, once you hit 25,000, the room goes nuts, and then you get a couple thousand more, and it's really exciting. Now, when you use the rapid fire, you will have to go back and add those actual donations because somebody else has been writing them down, and you can get those numbers, compare them, add them in, and then people can check out from their phone. In summary, it's easier if you can coordinate with the auctioneer and do the add donations in real time using this system, because now as soon as I type in bidder 200, bidder 200 gave $1,000, and now bidder 200 can check out. I don't need to go back and re-enter any data. But if you're concerned that you can't keep up with the auctioneer, then you can use the rapid fire because it actually is faster.